In Perek Shirah, the Song of the Universe, the Rachama Omeret, the Egyptian vulture says, Eshraka lechem ve'akpetzem ki peditin. I will whistle to them and gather them, for I have redeemed them. That's from Zechariah 10:8, meaning people whistle to signal their comrades to join them. The Egyptian vulture is a bird of prey that flies high and far to find its food. So too God's emissaries, those who proclaim his message, forage for listeners, for people who will be receptive to the call of the Torah. And when the call is sounded with clarity and sincerity, listeners gather. Jews, if you are already looking for some sort of truth or trying to understand your reality, congratulations, you have already been redeemed. God has already freed you from this mental slavery, and it is up to you now to attach your consciousness in order to control basically your perception of reality and not be fooled. Now, I recently watched a video where somebody, I can't remember who it was, did an analogy. He was explaining the Matrix, the movie The Matrix, and how Neo would never truly be able to escape the Matrix. He's still within the system, just at a different type of level. So he gave this analogy that I'm going to use of the chicken coops. So these chickens are clearly in cages, and this is their life. They were hatched in these cages. They've never known anything different. This is normal for them to be in these cages within this structure that is on some sort of farm that is enclosed, that different levels. Okay, so they're in their cages. Now, if one of these chickens manages to understand that and escape from the cage, or even if all of them escape from their cages, or even if they were just born not in individual cages, but rather in this type of situation where they're all still slaves. They're all still in confinement. They are not free chickens. They're just more free than they were when they were in the cage. So eventually one or many chickens may eventually even understand this and say, hey, we could go outside and not be an indoor slave chicken and be a free chicken out there on the range in the grass. But these chickens are just at a different level of confinement. They're not in the cages. They're not inside the factory wall. They're on the outside, but they're still not free. They're not in control of their own lives. They don't know what's happening on the other side of this enclosement. They have no idea about actual reality. That beyond this farm is a field, and beyond the field there's a city, and beyond the city there's, more cities. They have no clue. They think they're free relative to the situation or the situations that I just described. They're never truly free. And so this is the analogy that no matter if we wake up and understand we are within different levels of a control system, and to whatever level of conscious awakening we can obtain, we will always still be within the system. And this is true. This is the truth. Except for that Avraham Avinu was taken outside of the system. God took him outside and showed him the entire creation. And his progeny after him, the children of Israel, the nation of Israel, we are outside of this system. God has already redeemed us, gave us the Torah, the laws to live by. The system runs with these laws. If we break all the laws, we are still within the system. If we don't understand the laws, we are within the system. Once we understand the laws and we live by those laws, we are outside of the system. So again, God has already redeemed us. God redeemed his nation and gave us the Torah, the laws to live by. And in other places, also in Tehillim, in the Psalms, King David says that it's like God has removed the burden of slavery from our shoulders, our necks. But it's up to us to take our hand off the kettle. It's up to us, each one of us, to understand this and to basically just not be a slave anymore. We have to choose that all the time. We have to understand what that means. So basically, Barb Marley had it right. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Only you can free your mind. You cannot now become basically a mental slave to a cult that appears to be Jewish. And this is why, again, on my channel, I talk so much about the 3 excommunications of the Hasidut, which we see now is taking over Judaism. You have to be aware. You have to be on guard, and you have to be chacham. You have to be smart. Observe the commandments faithfully. Don't now become a mental slave to some other Adonenu Morenu, Chabad. They literally say that they become his slaves. He's their Adon. And so too with every other single thing that's connected to Hasidut. Jews are not, we are outside of the system. Don't put yourself under another system. Only you can free your mind. Judaism isn't a religion where you just do something because you have no idea. Judaism is here to free you from the mental slavery that is our inheritance. This is our inheritance, to be outside of the system, to be outside of the chicken coop. So you have to make sure that's your responsibility. You've already been freed. You already have this inheritance as a Jew. So you have to attach your conscious mind to the objective truth and reality, the emet, the truth in the Torah. And I've done several different videos. I tried to put them in a sequence that I thought might be helpful for anyone who's trying to understand reality and learn Torah and live like a Jew and not like a member of any cult, to have a mental freedom and understand how to live your life so that you are a free person fulfilling your purpose in life. That's my intent. That's my experience. This is what I'm learning and understanding. So in each video, I usually give the references of the books that I'm reading. This is why I think what I think. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I'm not saying anything new at all. I'm just learning from so many different sources. And I suggest that you also obtain the books that I quote and learn also for yourself. And from those books, like Me'am Loaz, like the Kuzari, like Mesilat Yesharim, like the Gate of Bitachon, like so many different books. Get these books, read the books, and from those references that they give, go and explore those references. From the prophets, from Tehillim, we have to have a very vast source of knowledge from which to draw upon in order to understand why we think the things that we think. That is our perception of reality. Why do you think anything at all? Why do you believe anything? You don't just believe blindly. You examine. You understand. You contemplate the experiences that you've been through. You attach your understanding to some sort of wisdom, the unchanging wisdom, the objective truth, the only one thing that's reliable and has always been reliable for the Jewish nation is the Torah.